Hey guys, this is Panda, and this is probably my fourth attempt at doing an update vlog in the last, 2 weeks or more. I recorded one that was almost an hour long, where I was walking around and talking about my cat situation, and after I put it on the computer, it was again, for some reason, split up into two parts, and I was going to have to edit them together, and there was a ton of stuff in it that really I wanted to edit out anyway, but I didn't have a lot of time to do that, because just putting the two pieces into Windows Movie Maker and then saving it exporting it took the entire night. And after it exported, I went to look where it was so I could upload it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it in any of the program files for it, or any of my video folders or anything. So at this point, I'm just going to re-record it because I had way too much in there anyway that didn't need to be in there. But I've been I know everybody's having a hard time right now, but it's kind of like my hard time that I already have every day is like times 100. And it's really getting to be unbearable at this point. It's mostly financial and being restricted to not having rides when I need them, only being able to go out like 3 times a month at this point before this whole pandemic happened. And I already only had half the groceries I needed for the month, and now it's impossible to find any, and I can't get the medicine I need because I already had to order it online and could barely afford it before, and now it's gone way up, even though it has literally nothing to do with what people would need for this. I don't know why. I guess everything's just going up. So I've been having severe acid reflux, crushing esophagus pain all the time, several times a day for the last week. And then at night I wake up with basically throwing up stomach acid almost every night at this point, and even when I lay in a recliner, that happens, and I don't know how much more of that I can take. I feel like I have a rock sitting in my in between the rib cages all the time from just constant pain that I get from acid reflux. And it's also, I know I've been having heart problems from the stress lately, and I get this pain that is descriptive of what women experience with a heart attack, but it's not severe enough that I have to call an ambulance, because I have it happen all the time, at least once a month, although lately it's been once a week for the last month, where it just starts out with jaw pain. And since I already have really bad jaw pain from TMJ and trigeminal neuralgia, it's hard to tell when it's that or when it's usually within a minute or two. I can tell because it'll keep getting worse and worse and worse until it's unbearable really quickly, as opposed to just being generally a 6 or 8 out of 10 all the time. It usually goes up to a 10 within a few minutes, and then it goes down the side of my neck and into my throat and esophagus area, and into my chest, sometimes into my shoulder. But it's just all this crushing pain that feels like it's being crushed from the inside, or I'm swallowing giant rocks or something, and it's all in my jaw and everything. So, I don't know what to do about that. I already am on heart medicine, and I'm not really being treated for stress or anxiety, which is awesome because I've already made that clear that that's a problem to my doctor, and I don't know if they're going to ever do anything about it. But lately, it's been the worst stress I've had lately is the freaking cats, because my mom was in the hospital for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I had to take her cat because she couldn't take care of it, and she was gone that long, and I couldn't help feed it every day without being able to get there. I actually had to walk there to my mom's apartment in the freezing bitter cold 6 or 8 times, I don't even know, and I've basically worn myself down to the bone in the last month, and I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to do because honestly, everything keeps getting worse, and I just don't have the energy for it anymore. I don't have the willpower to keep going anymore. And I can't do a damn thing about the financial problem without a vehicle. I can't do a damn thing about getting out of here without a vehicle. I can't even watching Bernie campaign for the primaries, and he literally was in Michigan 5 different stops, and one of them was 45 minutes away. And he did a big rally there. And it really makes me feel awesome, that I actually did quite a bit of social media begging for the last several months, trying to get somebody who could just pick me up along the way, or who's in the area who could just give me a lift to go see one of his rallies in Michigan, because last time around it was soul crushing and heartbreaking and gut wrenching to watch him campaign all over the country, to watch TYT do a countrywide tour where they were an hour away, and to see all these women's marches and Democracy Now! Marches and climate change rallies and all this other stuff going by all the time, and I just couldn't do anything about it. All I could do was sit here and watch everybody else go experience life, and no matter what I did, no matter what I begged, no matter what I promised in exchange for a ride, I could have given some gas money, but I mostly promised weed or edibles or just whatever I could help out with. I don't know, just anything I could do to be able to go experience something like that. And it just came and went like everything does. Every year there's this massive cannabis festival not that far away, and it's free for patients, and I could get at least a month's supply of meds for free at that place where they give free samples to patients. And every year I beg for rides. I try to get rides from the very few people I know in the area, and I'm never ever able to go anywhere. And it's gotten to the point where I'm just well, clearly I'm invisible and I don't matter to anybody, and it doesn't matter to anybody who claims that they care about me that I ever get to go experience literally anything before I end up dying, because literally the last time I went anywhere and experienced anything was 20 plus years ago. And yeah, during that time, that 1 year time after my second back surgery where I was actually functional enough to travel, I went and saw a pen pal in Illinois, where I was over 9/11 near Chicago. That's where I was. Then I went and saw a pen pal in New Hampshire, and then I went to my LA trip, my Make-A-Wish / Starlight Foundation trip, and that's probably the biggest thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and I don't hardly remember any of it. I just have the souvenirs and stuff, pictures that I took and whatever, it really gets to me that, I mean, yeah, it was a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure in 2001 there were camcorders, there were video cameras that could have been used, and for some reason, all I have is like half a dozen pictures of this whole trip to LA that I went on, and I don't have any memories that are, that I can remember very well of being there. And so, I mean, other than, I did go to a Six Flags when I was in Illinois, but other than that, like, I haven't been to anything exciting, fun, where I could be around people who, are anywhere near the same mindset I'm in, the same, progressive, humanist, anything, atheist, LGBT, whatever, anything, just people who are open-minded and who think, I have any value as a human being at all. Like, what would it be like to be around a bunch of people like that, to be around anybody else who values me at all? Because honestly, I can't trust anybody anymore. Everybody who I try to make friends with ends up using me and just never talking to me again, or, only talk to me when they need something. And I am just so exhausted with it all. Like, I'm never going to trust anybody enough to get close to anybody again. And if I actually had transportation and I actually was allowed to make any decisions in my life and choices in my life that would actually improve my life, I would be fine with having nobody. I would be perfectly fine with being alone if I had any ability at all to get myself anywhere, to go anywhere and do anything whatsoever. It's like, I don't know what I did to deserve being a medical lab rat who's been locked up since I was a kid, but I'm tired of watching the most selfish, disgusting, apathetic, greedy people in the world get away with the most petty, selfish crap all the time and get what they want and get what they need and never have to beg and never have to be in a prison cell their whole lives, and I'm just so exhausted with having to keep going and going and going and going and having everything get worse and worse and worse and worse for over 20 years and never have any sight of anything getting better. And I'm supposed to keep going with no fuel in the tank, with no memories to hold on to, with nothing whatsoever to look forward to. What do I have to look forward to? Every payday, I dread getting paid. Because to this day, I still can't afford my power bill. I can't afford everything. I have to choose between my medicine and groceries and my power bill every month. And guess what? My power bill is a month overdue and I don't have any money for it. And as far as I know, it's just going to keep going until it gets cut off, and then that's it, because my family has stopped helping with it, so I literally have no, means of paying for it, because, again, I don't have transportation, so it's not like I can have any kind of a job or any kind of gig job or whatever it's called, anything that I could possibly do. I've exhausted what very few options there are for people to do things at whatever hours they're able to do them for a couple hours a day, from home. I've already exhausted all these options. Like, I don't have any other way to make enough money to pay my power bill every month and then try to get a vehicle. Because if I had a vehicle big enough to live in, which at this point I'm not very picky, I would be out of here and I would no longer be forced to keep paying bills for a toxic subsidized apartment that has been my prison cell for over 10 years, and I would really, really rather not keep existing in. Like, I don't want to live here. I don't want to keep paying bills here. My choice has been for years to move to a state where I can survive and where I might be able to get specialists and doctors to actually treat me instead of acting like nothing's wrong, or not treating the symptoms I have, or I'm throwing a Band-Aid on it, basically. Like, they don't care if I can only afford half the medicine I should be using to be functional and, healthy enough, whatever. But if I were living in a state where my meds were free and not half my income, and I could see specialists and doctors that I need to see that I can't see in this shitty little town, I would probably add at least 10 years to my life. Although at this point, since I'm expected to go any day and it keeps getting worse, it's probably beyond that point of adding years. Like, I was hoping I wouldn't have to go through another winter, but at this point, with the way it's looking with this pandemic, and it's seriously affecting my ability to get the very few things I did have that I needed to survive, I really don't want to stick around anymore. I really can't stick around anymore. I can't do it. Like, I can't do it anymore because I was already scraping by with less than the minimum of what I needed. And I was already not able to get all my stomach medicine or the groceries I needed or the toiletries I needed or whatever. So I'm like, it's been like 8 years on this channel that I've been struggling along, hoping against hope that I could get enough subscribers that I could, have 50 people donate $2 a month on my Patreon, or 20 people donate $5 a month. Then I'd be able to pay my power bill. Then I might be able to focus more on making better content and somehow making enough money to get a vehicle of some kind, and then finally being free, even if it's for a month before I die. I want to experience literally anything. If I had to work for the last 10 years and have to work for another 6 months just to be able to have 1 month of, getting in a vehicle and going wherever the fuck I want to go, because I'm 35, almost 36 years old, and that's what people my age should be able to do. And, make up for all the fucking 20 years that I have not been allowed to do that I've watched my siblings and cousins and nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles and everybody else in the family be allowed to do that. And, hear my family members brag about going to concerts and going to Disneyland and going on cruises, and I'm just like, that's nice. That is so nice for you. That's nice. And here I am, literally begging for the last 10 years to be allowed to live in a vehicle, because that is my only dream at this point. And if it's not that, then I better not have to keep waking up every day, because I can't do it anymore. I literally just can't. I literally can't. This election season has completely fucked me over and fucked everybody else over, and thanks to the non-democracy we have in this shithole country of ours, it doesn't matter what people vote for. It doesn't matter what people want. It doesn't matter if the media has made it their sole purpose to keep people uninformed, so nobody knows what they're voting for and nobody knows what their options are. And even when people do vote for the right person, it gets fucked over somehow. Like, they always find a way. They always find a way to fuck it over and make our votes not worth anything, and it doesn't matter anymore. Because until we have one person, one vote in this country, it's pointless. It's pointless. The establishment is always going to get what they want, and it's always going to be establishment Democrat, and then right-wing lunatic, and then establishment Democrat, and then right-wing lunatic, and that's the way it goes. And it looks like we're probably going to end up with another right-wing lunatic for 4 more years, and I can't do it. I can't do it. They're already making it clear that they're going to cut my income. They're going to probably cut Medicaid again. They're going to probably cut food stamps again. And my food stamps have already been cut in half in the last 2 or 3 years. And, my income went up like $4 or $5, and it all went into my rent increase. And then Other than that, they also, charge more for meds. They also cut my food stamps again. They also, they make up for it in 10 different ways just for that $4 or $5 that I got in my monthly check. And it's like, I don't know how I'm expected to do it anymore. I mean, I've been stupidly continuing to help people who need help, and at the expense of my well-being. And it cost me a lot of money that I can't afford to help people. And then when I need help with something, there's no, if I'm lucky, I get 1 or 2 retweets. I got a couple of donations since November, December, but like not big, not huge donations, just 1 or 2 that allowed me to get my stomach medicine and pay my bill, my, phone bill or whatever. But like, if I could just get a consistent amount of people donating a couple bucks a month, I would be able to at least have my power bill paid every month and not have to try to frantically scrape together $150 a month out of thin air, because that's apparently what my family expects me to do. Because if my family cared about the only person in the family who's been disabled their whole life, the only person who's dying right now, the person living on vastly less income than anybody else in the family, they could each pitch in $5 a month. Each household could pitch in $5 a month, and my family, that would take care of it. 90% of them spend that much going out for lunch each day, or getting a coffee on the way home, or whatever. My sister is literally married to a millionaire, and I haven't even heard from her in years because she couldn't care less about my well-being, and she hasn't since I was a teenager. So I am just alone in the world, and I'm gonna be alone whether I want to be or not. And I would be fine with that, like I said, if I had the same tool, the same amount of freedom as every other adult in this country. And I have never been given a single chance in hell at that. Not one opportunity. I've been willing to do whatever it takes. I've been willing to leave everything I own behind just to have a vehicle to live in. And that's really, really sad, because there isn't one person in my family who would ever in a million years even consider that, like, for themselves, like they would never. Most of them would be appalled because they're like upper middle class and living in nice houses with nice new cars and go on vacation every couple months or whatever, and getting retirement income of $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year or whatever it is. And like, I'm just sitting here like making, as I'm expected to exist on as much per month as my cousin who just started working at the pizza place makes per week. That's like that's like the next lowest income in my family is my cousin, and he's making as much in a week as I'm expected to live on in a month. And I just can't figure out why that is, that I'm expected to do this by myself. That I'm expected to either do this by myself or pray hard enough that some miracle falls out of the sky, because it's only up to God, not any of my parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts and uncles. Even though, yeah, a lot of people will say, but you're an adult, but you're so and so years old, but once you're 18, it's your problem. Yeah, that would make sense, except for the fact that that's not the case for everybody else. That's not the case for everybody else. My sister has had her ass bailed out from DUI wrecks at least 3 or 4 times. My cousin literally was on the streets with nothing. She didn't own anything because she became a meth addict and sold it all for drugs and lost her apartment and her car. And her uncle, my uncle and her uncle, not her father, helped her get a vehicle, helped her get an apartment, helped her go to college for being a drug addict. Okay? That same uncle, after having to humiliate myself and beg like repeatedly, has helped me like 3 times in my adult life with my power bill with $50 for a holiday. Not just paying a power bill, not just giving it to me to help. No, it was a birthday or Christmas present, $50 that, one time every like 3 or 4 years. And it's like my dad, who lives in Virginia, I haven't even talked to him in, I don't know, since he was here visiting in October, but before that, we didn't talk on the phone. We barely texted. We haven't barely texted since then. And, I've had to beg $20 off of him twice to borrow because at the end of the month, because I didn't have anything to eat and have a penny to my name. And I've had to, beg on Twitter all the time. And no matter how many tactics I try to use to help that, like other people successfully use, I still can't manage to get more than 1 or 2 retweets and more than, a like here and there. I'm extremely lucky if I get a donation every 3 or 4 months, and it's not a very big one. I know it's really hard right now for a lot of people, but my stomach turns when I can watch, people, other YouTubers who are successful can just announce that they're doing a fundraiser every 6 months or so, and they'll bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars in 6 months. And like, I am like saying $1,000 would change my life forever. $1,000 would allow me to get some kind of vehicle and pay my power bill up to date so I don't get my power cut off. Some kind of vehicle so that I can start making money, so that I can get out of here somehow. Get an RV, get a bus, whatever, van, I don't care, whatever it is. And just get out of here. And I'm not talking about the stupid, glamorous van life that everybody's doing on YouTube. That's fake, mostly. That's like kids that would otherwise be going to a nice college because their parents are paying for it or whatever. Maybe they got a scholarship, but like they're well off enough, middle class, upper middle class people who would be able to get their own place if they wanted to, who would definitely be like traveling abroad or going to, away to college at a dorm or whatever that upper middle class people do. And then they decide to try and do this because it's successful on YouTube, and that's what they do, and that's how this van life crap took off. But for 10 fucking years, I have been dreaming of this, of living in an RV or a U-Haul or a van that I could, start traveling across the country at my own pace and move to a state where I can survive, where I can experience life, where I can feel like I'm not a lab rat in a prison cell, because I don't fucking deserve this after everything I've done and been through. And I'm tired of watching bad people get away with shit and get shit handed to them on a silver platter, and have other people who don't, people on YouTube who don't do anything but run a live stream where they're not even dressed, taking bong hits and reacting to videos, and they get 10 grand a month in Patreon and live stream donations. And I'm like, fuck, I'm just trying to barely get enough to barely scrape by at this point. So I'm just at the end of my rope. I've done everything I can think of. I've tried selling everything I can sell. And it's gotten to where I'm tired of going hungry. I'm tired of feeling like death on a stick for at least a week or two out of the month because I just don't have the medicine or the food, and I'm tired of constantly dreading my payday and having daily panic attacks when I do get paid, and having to dread the day I get my power cut off because that's coming. And hopefully I can get some videos put up before that, because it sure ain't gonna happen after that. And I don't know how many I'll be able to get put up before that happens, but you probably won't hear from me after that happens because I'm not going to be around. And that's just the reality of it. Honestly, I've kind of been hoping that I catch this virus, because I do have a shitty immune system. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I won't have to stick around anymore, because clearly it doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what's best for me. It doesn't matter what I desperately need. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how hard I work at it. It doesn't matter what I go without or sell. It doesn't matter what I'm willing to do. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. I've literally exhausted every possibility that I could manage to do to change my life. And it's not up to me anymore. It's not. It's not up to me. It's up to my family, and it's up to anybody out there who thinks my life is worth a damn, because it's not up to me anymore. I have literally done everything I can. And if you're like my family and you expect me to just not prioritize the medicine that's keeping me out of the ICU, because I really prefer not to die another extremely slow, painful, torturous, medically interrupted and invaded death, because it doesn't matter what my wishes are there either. That's already been proven. They just ignore my wishes and continue to invade my rights and my body and force me to come back. And I'd prefer not to do that again. So I'm sorry if, I'd prefer to just fall asleep and not wake up, or to just not have to keep going anymore. Because it's clearly not going to get better. I don't know where people get that. I guess it's just the people that it does get better for that say that shit all the time, because it's been 20 fucking plus years. When's it supposed to get better? My heart's already permanently fucked. Like, my heart's exploded twice. My body's given out twice from literal stress. And what point does it get better again? Because, my whole family's religious as fuck, so they all think it's my fault, and it's up to God, and if it was, if I was praying hard enough, and I was godly enough, or whatever their fucking excuse is, then it would just magically be better. And they don't have to lift a finger, and it's not up to them, and they don't have anything to do with it, because they're just my parents and siblings and grandparents, and only everybody else has family that gives a fuck, so it's up to me, as usual, and yet they can't tell me what exactly I'm supposed to do other than stop paying for my medicine, and have my kidneys fail again, and end up in the ICU again, and end up on life support again. That's what they want me to do, apparently, because no matter what, little bit of help I need to continue paying for my life-saving medicine, it's apparently not worth it to them. So I guess it's up to everybody else. If you want to see me complete any of this shit that I've been trying to complete, any of these videos, I could use a little help with that, because otherwise it's probably not going to happen at this point. You can see my Patreon up here. As for my videos that I have listed, I was supposed to go to the dentist and have my measurements done for my new teeth on Thursday, the day after tomorrow. That was canceled. I've already been waiting over 4 months for that appointment. Now they moved it back 2 more months, and they're probably going to move it back again. I'm almost positive, because if I'm even still around at that point. And considering how bad that dental fiasco shit that I've been going through for 2.5 years has been, I knew a long time ago when every attempt I made at getting this done was somehow screwed over. For literally, it's been a year now since I've been trying to get my last 2 teeth pulled, which I did have done, and then get my new teeth in. It's been a year, okay? And now it's been October, November, December, January. It's been 6 months since I had my last 2 teeth pulled. So I pretty much knew in the 5-6 months before that I was trying to get that done, that I was probably going to end up dying with no teeth, because it got to the point after about a year and a half of having my teeth pulled, to where I couldn't smile anymore. I didn't want to go out in public because it was embarrassing. I have not been on video for a very long time for that reason. And it's got to the point where I'm just like, obviously this is never going to happen. There was at least 8 different things that stopped me from getting that done and from getting the measurements done. And considering I only had one option for a place to go to get that done because of the fucking insurance system, I was pretty positive I was just going to die with no teeth at that point, and it looks like that's going to happen, because still I'm not allowed to go get that done. I know that sounds kind of selfish and petty, because everybody thinks this pandemic is the biggest deal in the world, and it probably is for the world, but I've been going through hell for a long time, and this is just another straw on the camel's back. And at this point, the camel's back broke a long time ago. I've been dragging my ass with a broken back for quite a while. So yeah, at this point, I don't know when I'm going to get the dental thing done. I would love to be able to get some of these videos done, but a lot of them require me being on camera. The Bernie story thing, I was so dead set on getting that done before the primaries, and I was just so tied up with my mom being in the hospital, and then coming home, and then having to deal with the cat, and then getting half as much sleep because of that than I usually do, and having basically 4 or 5 days a week, I have a stress migraine that debilitates me and makes me have to lay in my recliner with an ice pack for at least 2 or 3 hours twice a day, because it never goes away anymore. I have, however, been posting a few audio journals on my Anchor thing, I believe. I think that's the only one I figured out how to use, but I do have them. I will link them below if you guys want to go subscribe to those or follow those or whatever. I have posted a couple of things on there, and it is easier for me to put audio updates, because having to edit or export or whatever and then upload these videos is really time consuming. And my Wi-Fi connection is extremely sporadic because it's not mine, so it doesn't stay connected very often, which is why I can't do live streams. So the edibles thing I made last didn't turn out, so I probably won't upload that, but I am going to try the same thing again and try and make it right this time as soon as I can, and I'll probably record that one. And the deconversion story is, I want to try and get into the atheist video making as soon as possible, because that was a huge goal of mine, and I really want to just try and get into that community before it's too late, or at least leave my videos so people know that that's big part of who I am. I just want to try and get my story put up on my channel as quickly as possible, because at this point I don't know how many days I have left, okay? I really feel I've for a while I have felt this emotional and mental frantic urge to get this done, because I know I don't have very long, but at the same time my body is just not gonna keep up. I don't have the energy, I don't have the pain control or the stamina or the willpower or anything anymore. I mean, if my channel was growing at all, If I was getting any kind of response or any kind of support, I would definitely feel more motivation. But at this point, it's like, who am I even talking to? Who's even listening? Because nobody in my family's listening. Nobody listened when I begged for a ride to see a Bernie rally in anywhere, anywhere. Anybody going through Michigan, anywhere could have picked me up. And I feel like nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody nowadays just cares about themselves. What are they going to get out of it? They're not going to give up $2 or $3 a month unless they get something out of it. I mean, come on, right? It's just so exhausting and mind-boggling, and I just can't get over the fact that everybody still thinks that karma is a thing, and still thinks that if you work hard enough and want it bad enough is a thing, and still thinks that it'll get better eventually. And it's just like, wake the fuck up. It gets better for some people. There are millions and millions of people in third world countries who it never gets better for, and apparently there's people in this country who it never gets better for. And it would just be nice if more people would recognize that, and it would be a much, 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 much better world if people would triage the need that people have for help. Like you do in an ER, if somebody is dying because they can't get a little bit of help every month to get up on their own 2 feet. If I had enough help to get a vehicle, I could get on my own 2 feet and then not need help again. But instead, my family doesn't think ahead, doesn't plan ahead, keeps telling me that, oh, all you need is to get by today, and if you get your shutoff notice, if your power gets shut off, it gets shut off, then you can deal with that. It's like they don't care about me ever getting on my own 2 feet or ever being independent enough to make any decisions in my life. Just deciding on what I'm going to eat and when I'm going to go to bed is something that fucking 10-year-old can decide. Like, I'm 35 years old. At what point, after being told my whole life to grow up, at what point am I allowed to grow up? At what point am I allowed to have the tools I need to actually grow up, instead of just being expected to do so with magic, I guess? Like, I just don't know what to do anymore, and I'm lost, and I don't have anybody to talk to, and the worst feeling in the world is waking up every day knowing that I had to wake up, knowing that when I get out of bed, some shit is going to hit the fan within 5 minutes, because it literally does every time. Every day, from the minute I get out of bed, something happens, something breaks, something spills. I find out that something happened with an order I made, or with an appointment I had, or with a ride I was supposed to get, or just anything you can possibly think of that could go wrong. Literally 18 to 30 times a day goes wrong, and I can't keep up with it anymore. I can't keep up with the stress of it anymore. And waking up knowing that's going to happen when I get up, and having no choice but to get up, because I'm usually in agony from all the symptoms I have when I get up after sleeping, and knowing that today is just going to be worse than it's been before, and knowing that nobody cares about that, and knowing that I have nothing to look forward to, and knowing what's going to happen at some point, and just having no way to stop it. It's all so much fun to think about every morning, every day whenever I get up, because I haven't been sleeping until 5 a.m. lately. But anyway, I gotta wrap this up before it gets to the point where it cuts in half again. I'm gonna do another quick video about the cats and what I've been dealing with them. So stay tuned for that one. This is just a little emo / e-begging, I guess. Kind of e-begging the whole way, but trying not to the whole time. Anyway, if you guys if you can't financially help, can you leave me a comment, just so I know you're watching, because that would really help. And give me a like if you can, subscribe if you're not, because I really need to hit 500 subscribers. And thank you for watching. I hope everybody stays safe and you know, don't go crazy being inside. Hopefully you have somebody there with you to keep you from going crazy. So stay safe and stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Peace out.